My name is Nelson Scott. My areas of expertise are in conducting interviews. I've trained thousands of people on how to conduct interviews so they can hire the right people. In addition to that, I work with managers, supervisors, encourage them to express appreciation to their staff for what they do, to recognize them for what they achieve and how they contribute to the organization. Well, because I do presentations, I guess maybe I should start by describing what I do there. In terms of presentations, I use Keynote, which is on the Mac, and one of the tools that really is important to me is just the remote control that I carry around, because I like to walk around when I'm doing presentations, and I find that if I had to keep running back to the computers, it would drive me and the audience crazy. In terms of other things, a couple of tools I use in getting ready for, one tool I use in getting ready for presentations is SurveyMonkey. I sometimes think I've never done the same presentation 2 times, because each time I customize the presentation, and SurveyMonkey and the surveys I do that way help me do that. For example, if I'm conducting a workshop on how to conduct interviews, I will maybe I'll send out a survey to all the participants so I can find out what their background is, whether they've had any training before, how many interviews they conduct, whether those are conducted kind of one-on-one or they use panels. And then I say, what questions do you have that you specifically want me to answer during this presentation? Another tool kind of related to that I actually used during the presentation. It's called Poll Everywhere. And that allows me to do live polls, show the results. For example, if I'm doing a presentation related to staff recognition, I can ask the audience to tell me, where do you prefer to be recognized? Do you want to be recognized publicly, or do you prefer to be recognized in private, or perhaps it doesn't matter to you? And that way I'm not bringing statistics from outside into the room. The statistics we're talking about are gathered in the room, and I can say to the audience members, what does this mean? How do you interpret the information I just gave you? Another feature of that Poll Everywhere is I can actually get written responses. So perhaps if I'm doing a workshop, I haven't had at a conference or something, haven't had a chance to survey the participants, I can do a quick survey at the beginning and say, what one question would you like to have answered during this workshop? And then we almost build the workshop around the information they have provided. A couple other tools that I use. If I need to schedule a meeting, I use doodle.com. That allows me to throw up the possible times to meet, send it to everyone who will be attending the meeting, and then we can find the best time, the time that works for most of the people, or ideally all the people. Another scheduling tool I've used is called Schedule Once, and that way if people want an appointment with me, I can give them that link and they can go and they can pick a time that is convenient for them, which fits my availability. The problem with business cards is people don't keep them. So a few years ago, I think it was Tony Newman kind of gave me a bit of inspiration, and my business card now it contains several post-it notes as well, and a little cover inside which there are some tips on how to use them as a staff recognition tool. Those post-it notes look just like the post-it note which is on the cover of my book, which is entitled "Thanks, Great Job," and that same message is on my post-it notes I use in my business card, along with my website, which means not only am I giving the information directly to the person who I give a business card to, but also if he or she uses that to write thank you notes to other people, they are exposed to my website as well. And something that is, I think, unique in terms of my business cards, people will actually follow up by going to my website and buying additional copies of my business card. They don't do it too often, but every time it happens, I'm saying, wow, not a lot of people sell their business cards. Yeah, I've always used a Mac. The first computer I purchased was a Mac, and every computer I've purchased since then has been a Mac. I use an iPhone, I use an iPad, so I really kind of I love going into Apple stores because I can just find really expensive stuff to buy that it wouldn't be available elsewhere. Almost every tool I use, I could use more effectively. I use Keynote. I think I'm only scratching the surface in terms of what I can do with Keynote. For my blog, I use WordPress. Again, I am sure I could do a lot more with WordPress than I do. For my newsletter, I use Constant Contact, and again, I think I could use that more effectively. So almost everything I use, I know I'm not using as well as I can. In terms of the computer in my pocket, my iPhone, there are so many other apps I could be using beyond the ones I've started to use now. The website I encourage people to go to is called greatrecognition.com, and that's where all my current information is posted. And there's lots of articles there focused on my two areas of interest: hiring and retaining staff, recognizing staff.